Making headlines tonight, hoteliers in Barbados are developing a COVID-19 plan. The Senate passes an amendment honoring a Sagicor pension plan takeover. Entertainer William Smokey Burke laid to rest. And coming up in sports, Foundation and Harrison College repeat as champions in the Esther Maynard BSAC zone.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
I'm Shane Jones, leading the news at 7. Barbados Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley is currently in Guyana, leading a delegation of regional prime ministers in an effort to help resolve the country's election crisis. The delegation will meet with leadership of all the parties that contested the poll in an effort to ease tensions that has resulted from Monday's general elections. Prime Minister Motley, who is also the CARICOM chair, has been joined by other regional leaders: Dominica's Prime Minister Roosevelt Scarrett, St. Vincent's Ralph Gonsalves, Grenada's Keith Mitchell, and Trinidad and Tobago's Dr. Keith Rowley. The CARICOM heads will also meet with representatives from the Commonwealth Organization of American States, European Union, and Carter Center Observer missions who are in the country. And we're hearing that the High Court in Guyana has ordered a recount of the ballots for Region 4. The High Court was tasked with deciding whether or not the injunction to block the Guyana Elections Commission from declaring results of the elections was justified on the grounds the votes declared for Region 4 were not completely verified. The results had been released to the media 4 days after polls were held. Now, if certified, they would have meant the ruling coalition, a Partnership for National Unity plus the Alliance for Change, the APNU AFC, would have secured another term in office. However, Acting Chief Justice Roxanne George Wiltshire ruled the declaration of results made by the returning officer as unlawful. The Acting Chief Justice acknowledged the ruling would be of great importance to the nation and would be likely to excite the emotions of the parties and the wider audience. The Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association is in the process of formulating an emergency plan to help members mitigate the fallout from COVID-19. Word of this from Chairman Stephen Austin. He says the BHTA is currently polling members to find out about cancellations and forward bookings. To date, 49 out of 81 have responded.
Just for March alone, it's been $1.2 million loss in revenue, and that really accounted for basically cancellation of 2,853 rooms. So it's quite significant, and we are working now on an emergency plan through the BHTA to try to help our members during this time, because the next 3 to 6 months will determine, if this continues, we will have to find ways to cope.
The Senate today debated and passed a piece of legislation intended to make an amendment to honor a request made by Sagicor Life. The amendment relates to Sagicor's taking over of the pension plans of 68 former employees of the former British American insurance company Barbados Limited. The previous government had made an obligation to assist in preserving the company's pension plans after it folded. In leading off debate on the British American Insurance Company Barbados Limited Prevention of Investments Amendment Bill 2020, Acting Senate Leader of Government Business, Senator Kay McCartney, says while the government at the time pledged support through promissory notes, Sagicor Life had requested to be issued with bonds instead.
In an effort to resolve these matters, government has agreed, and it is therefore proposing in this bill that the bonds to Sagicor Life, Inc. for the amount of $8.115 million in respect of Sagicor's assumption of pension liabilities of British American Insurance Company Barbados Limited in judicial management for 68 employees, that they be issued in 6 tranches at an interest of about 7.5%.
Senator McConney also provided some of the details under the bond arrangement, noting that the 6 bonds would mature at various times spanning a 30-year period.
The face value for the 6 bonds, or 3 bonds, have a face value of $0.625 million. 2 bonds have a face value of $3 million. And 1 bond has a face value of $0.24 million. the funds to Sagicor Life to honor these bonds would come from government's consolidated fund, the central government bank account. Mr. President, I wish to reiterate that the bill before this honorable House is not seeking to make any fundamental change to the deal that was originally made. This bill simply seeks to convert the financial instruments from promissory note to bond.
Opposition Senator Caswell Franklin has lauded government's efforts to honor pension plan assistance for 68 former employees of British American Insurance Company. But he used the occasion of the amendment to express concern about what he has described as a misguided view held by some people regarding invalidity benefits and pensions for former public servants. He says invalidity benefits are not the same as a national insurance pension.
Every week, I get calls from persons who used to be public servants, who were declared medically unfit for work, and they are entitled to receive their pensions. Because if you're declared medically unfit in the public service, you get a pension after 10 years service, but that pension is payable from any time, as long as you got 10 years, so you don't have to wait until you're 60. So the pension is you start paying your pension immediately if you're declared medically unfit. I want to get that absolutely clear.
He says just as it did for the former British American workers, government must therefore make a similar effort for former public servants.
If you can see it, it's good for people who were in the private sector. Government has a duty to take care of its citizens, but it also has a duty, another duty, to take care of its former workers. And that's all I'm asking. I'm not in opposition to this measure. I think it's decent. But at the same time, you can't be decent on one hand and being decent on the other with your own former employees.
Now to my friend, veteran Barbadian entertainer William Smokey Burke was laid to rest at the Westbury Cemetery today after losing a long battle with cancer 2 weeks ago. Tears flowed freely from the eyes of Smokey's youngest daughter Camille as hundreds poured into the New Dimensions Ministries Church on Barbary Hill to say their final goodbyes to one of the most recognizable voices in Barbadian entertainment. Foreign ambassadors, ministers, past and present, Chief Justice Sir Marston Gibson, chief judges for Calypso competitions, Harrison College students, as well as scores from the entertainment fraternity, joined with Smokey's family and friends to pay their respects. The initial tears gave way to laughter as many were visibly in stitches during the tributes, recalling Smokey's sense of humor and wit. Longtime friend Colin Spencer's contribution stayed true to that.
Smokey, my brother, you see that place that you have decided to go online right now? I know that you're going to be there for a while. My car can't get there, so don't call me.
The Barbadian entertainers came together in a superb mass choir and live band to beautifully render Smokey's classic, The Plantation Lingers On.
Let my people go.
There was also a solo from award-winning musician Nicholas Branker and Bible readings by Sister Dalcia and daughter Sharon. Culture Minister and friend John King had this message for Smokey's family.
You have the distinct pleasure of interacting and knowing Smokey in a way the general public would never be able to. You have first-hand knowledge of his strength, resilience in the face of all his challenges in life. Let this be your inspiration to be the same.
During the eulogy, comprising accounts from various family members and friends, Dr. Sharon Marshall recounted how Smokey stayed true to who he was right up to his last breath.
Smokey took hold of life and drained every last drag from it, even as his body betrayed him. With a little help from his friends, Smokey was able to go to the beach on occasion. His physical condition did not prevent him from attending the Buju Banton show, liming in the CBC Blue Zone, or performing at Golden Soca last year.
Reverend Irma Ambrose said Smokey used his musical talent and songwriting to campaign for positivity in Barbadian society. In her sermon, she called on others to do the same.
Our brother Smokey did his part in the music industry. Who among the music fraternity outside or yet unknown will now step up to the breach? Who will call our leaders to account? And who will hold our society responsible?
Smokey, rest in peace. A Pine St. Michael man was shot dead last night. He is 35-year-old Omar Phillips of Princess Royal Avenue. Reports are that Phillips was shot around 20 minutes after 11 last night while at Golden Rock in the Pine. And less than 24 hours after the shooting, officers were on the scene at My Lord's Hill in St. Michael, where the body of Kenrick Ricardo King of Licorice Village was discovered in a bushy area. According to police reports, King, who is reportedly in his 40s, was discovered in this densely vegetated area near a track linking Welch's Terrace in Licorice Village, a stone's throw away from the service station. CBC News understands the gruesome discovery was made about 11:45 this morning after lawmen undertook a search of the area following a reported shooting incident in the nearby Martinique Road. Police are asking anyone with information regarding these incidents to contact Police Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477 or the nearest police station. Government has disbursed just over $100,000 in trust loans to 25 members of the disabled community. Speaking during the estimates debate on his ministry last evening, Small Business Minister Dwight Sutherland says the disabled community must have equal opportunities to own businesses. He says they are also welcomed at Fund Access and the Enterprise Growth Fund Limited.
It speaks to our mandate as a government. We will not leave anyone behind. Persons with disabilities, indeed, during Disability Week, I journeyed to Norman Center and I visited that area that was allocated for persons with disabilities to ply their trade. And if you want to see good art and craft, you visit those persons with disability who are very good with their hands.
There's a suggestion that the founder of the now defunct Modern High School, Louis Lynch, be added to the list of national heroes. According to Dr. Charleston Brathwaite, the call will formally be made in a book examining Lynch's legacy. He made the announcement during the 27th annual Louis A. Lynch Memorial Lecture.
The book ends with a chapter on the Louis Lynch Foundation, a list of outstanding graduates of the school, and a call for Mr. Louis Albert DeWitt Lynch, pioneer, educator, athlete, politician, philanthropist, and transformational leader, be made a national hero. Ladies and gentlemen, this book should be part of your library. This book should be part of your reading experience. It should be read by all Barbadians, both here and abroad. The book is currently in its final stage of editing, and it should be available to you very soon.
Meantime, chairman of the Louis Lynch Foundation, Emerson Graham, revealed that a foundation established in Lynch's honor is in need of funding.
The foundation needs financial help. And if we are to continue to offer scholarships and to meet those lofty goals set by the framers of its constitution some 3 decades ago, all of us are going to have to put our hands to the plow and contribute.
Some good news. 2 lucky couples have come out on top in the 98.1 The One Embrace the Love competition. The winners have walked away with 2 Cave Shepherd cards, each carrying a $1,000 limit. CBC Marketing Officer Alicia Hinson revealed the response to the Instagram competition was overwhelming, with over 500 entries. The winning photos had received around 4,000 likes each at the close of the competition. It's the second time 98.1 has partnered with Cave Shepherd for the promotion. Ms. Hinson says in addition to giving back to listeners, the competition has helped extend 98.1 The One's reach to the public.
About the competition, some people followed it on Instagram and And it shows us that CBC has that power and that reach, whichever media we use, whether we use radio, whether we use social media. Our social media in just a 4-week competition grew by 10% of what we would have previously had. So we know that the media works and we know that our advertising works, and we have winners and K Africa Services to prove it.
The winners are the pair of Carla Miller and Chris Brathwaite, and Erica Hinson and Sergio Aline, and daughter Sydney, who put in an appearance just in time to enjoy the prize with her parents. They told us how they felt to be the big winners.
I was ecstatic. I was like, "Okay, shopping? Oh, we gotta go shopping."
It was a little excited because they said they could use the money to buy some things for the baby, so that was mainly it for me.
Still to come, St. Lucia clamping down on people spreading false information about coronavirus. Then a bit later in sports, BSAC action. But before we get to all of that, here's a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.
This tip of the day is brought to you by Cooperators General Insurance Company Limited. Insurance the way you want it to be.
Always speak directly to the person with a disability, even if they're accompanied by someone. This tip is brought to you in association with the Barbados Council for the Disabled, helping to sensitize and inform the public.
Checking in with our regional neighbors now. Just about 24 hours after confirming its first case of coronavirus, Jamaica has now confirmed a second one. This was announced by Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton via a post on his official Twitter account this afternoon. This second confirmed case is reported to be a U.S. Embassy employee who returned from the UK. The first case was a woman who had also recently returned from the UK. We seem to have a problem with that extract, but we can tell you that people who spread false information on public health threats to St. Lucia may be tracked by the authorities. The warning comes from the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Alan Chasney. He explains the Chief Medical Officer has responsibility for disseminating COVID-19 information in St. Lucia.
The fake news story on a COVID-19 case in St. Lucia has caused quite a stir. An article purporting to be from a trusted online news site was making rounds on social media over the weekend, but it was all a hoax. Now perpetrators should reconsider spreading disinformation. That's because the government, which had plans to put measures in place to decrease such incidents, says it intends to make good on that promise.
One phone call to be able to verify the information one way or the other. And as I indicated, that we do have cyber technology that we will be using to be able to try to track to the best of our ability anybody who's in breach of that protocol.
There are concerns the false news item was an attempt to incite panic or fear among St. Lucians. Prime Minister Alan Chasney is calling on the public to verify information through reliable sources before spreading information about COVID-19.
When people who proclaim to be St. Lucians engage in this kind of behavior, because ultimately what they're affecting is the reputation of our country. And this is why a 24-hour line has been established, and I indicated at the NEMAC meeting that we had, and I've done publicly so, that before anybody goes out publicly with any information, it's very easy to verify. We've also made it so that it's non-political. We've allowed the CMO to be the key spokesperson on this issue. And I'm asking everyone to please conform. We have a heightened situation already. We don't need to add any further fuel to the fire.
The Prime Minister says the public's behavior may determine how quickly the virus spreads.
Sports is up next with Damien Best.